Okay, 30-second board time. Now behind us is the area where you'll have the pits, the demos, the Monster Energy Fan Fest, and then behind that, actually integrated right into this facility, is the Ohio State Fairgrounds, where they hold the fair, or the expo as they call it, so that's cool. As for Columbus itself, about 1 million is the population, so probably a bigger city than you think, and a pretty cool downtown. I don't want to bring up the Ohio State again. And this place also holds some big concerts, like someone's coming up with Post Malone here in a couple weeks. So a pretty cool situation to tie in the downtown, the stadium, and the fairgrounds.
Yeah, it's also very bright here. Then I can barely open my eyes. It's so bright. But I just think it's going to be a cool backdrop for this series. The Ohio Valley has a historic motocross legacy. I mentioned Troy, Ohio off the top of the show. There are so many fans here that, we got Cleveland this year back for Supercross, but they have been starved for motocross action. They have to go to Pennsylvania. They have to go to Indianapolis. Having something like this, a playoff round in Columbus proper, I think is a huge step.
So let's show you the playoff schedule here. So it starts here. The series, Pro Motocross, will end in August. They'll have the Labor Day weekend off, and then it starts here September 12th. Remember, these are 2-day events for the SMX playoffs. So Friday we'll have a press conference, a live podcast show, and these are all things the fans can attend and watch, and that includes riding practice on Friday and autographs as well, and then racing on Saturday, of course. Then everybody heads all the way to Los Angeles for the second playoff round on September 19th and the World Championship at Thunder Ridge Nature Arena over there in Branson, Missouri. One thing that we noticed here is the floor space. So this is a soccer stadium, and the soccer floor is bigger than an NFL stadium. So how might that affect the track?
Well, I just think it's going to give them more room. And this was the first ever stadium built specifically for MLS. And you can see it. You can see how wide it is built for the regulation size of the pitch. So what does that mean for lanes? I think you could go multi-lane wide. But remember, it's a playoff round, so they're going to try to incorporate some motocross aspects into it. I don't know if there's a plan to maybe go outside. But there, with the width of this, it does make it a lot different than a typical Anaheim Stadium, where we always talk about short lanes and it's really awkward. I think you're going to have a lot of longer lanes and a lot more higher speed than maybe some of the typical Supercross rounds you would see.
Yeah, remember last year there was a playoff race in St. Louis, and they were able to push the seats back, and it was different than the typical Supercross that we've seen 30 or so times in that building. So we'll see how the track turns out once we get here in September. Okay, so we have moved to a section that the VIPs can hang out when the SMX comes here in September. This is called the Upper 90 Lounge. You can sit at chairs. There's tables right next to us. And, of course, you can see good work on the vocabulary, the pitch behind us where they will build the track. We're going to switch to 250 talk here because we haven't done that yet. First, a quick glance at these SMX standings. Of course, combining Supercross, Motocross together. No surprise. Cole Davies, Levi Kitchen, Seth Hamaker at the top. The real thing to watch is riders moving up, like all 10 of the teenage kids for Star Racing who've been racing here and there. And the guy in 13th, Julian Beaumer, who now I think is making a case he could really be a contender when the playoffs come.
Well, it's remarkable how many points you can make up in Pro Motocross having 2 goes at it per weekend versus Supercross. And think about the 250s. They only have, 9 or 10 at the most in any year shots at in Supercross. One time versus 11 rounds twice. So if you get hot in the summer, which Beaumer will need to climb up the leaderboard, man, you can make up a lot of room in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, last year he was really focused on the playoffs. He's going to be this year, so seeding is going to be important for him. He hasn't won yet. He was real close at High Point, but there are 4 winners in the first 4 rounds, and we all know the story was the Pro Circuit dominance in the first couple races, and I was so worried that we were again going to see something terrible happen, which happens every time this team gets hot, and seeing Hamaker loop out and walk off holding his shoulder is one of those visions. And then Kitchen, just a weird day. And bad news, they opened the door for the wrong team and the wrong guy who had the best day that anyone's had so far this year.
This is your fault.
Really?
You kept saying, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop on Mitch Payton's Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki team.
Seen it a lot.
This is your fault, but true to form, they have had some adversity. That Hamaker crash, I don't know that I've ever seen a professional racer do it exactly like that. Like, I've seen Ryan Villopoto crash in 2015. That's probably as close to this as you can get, but what a quick turn. And we have to hope, I'm sure he's going to get an MRI done. His shoulder didn't look great as he was getting up.
Yeah.
We don't even know if he'll be in this championship moving forward. We'll hope for the best. But for Kitchen, it was a really strange day, too. He looked so great in qualifying practice, and then in the motos, it really just didn't come together. And to your point, Cole Davies, welcome to the party. We'd seen really flashes of it. We'd say, hey, that was a great moto, but can he back it up? And he couldn't. This was the first perfect day of his career, and what a statement win it was.
One more thing, the other winner and nearly the points leader is Joe Shimoda. You're seeing the good of Shimoda, the consistency, the late race staying power, but I also think the last thing that everyone wants to see is that racecraft, and we're still not seeing it.
No, this was, if you were going to try to find a shining example of the issues passing that Joe Shimoda has gone through, whether it's been Nick Romano, this time it was Cade Menier. We've had so many examples over the years of like, Joe, you got to find a way through here. I mean, kudos to Cade Menier. Like, he deserves a lot of credit also, but it was a moment where I think Honda HRC and people close to him are going to show him time and time again where when the doors open, Joe, you simply have to walk through it. You cannot wait. And you heard James Stewart. James kept saying, you got to make the move. You got to make the move. And I think, whether it's just Joe's history of not doing it, or it could be a little bit of hesitation from those injuries shining through here in 2026, but he's leaving points on the table at the end of the day.
So we're all waiting to see who's the final finished product in the 250 class. As of now, it looks like Davies, but certainly a long way to go. All right, we're going to talk playoffs here a little more in depth with the two-day format, which of course will be in play here September 12th when SMX World Championships comes to this building in Columbus. The two-day format starts with a press conference, and then the riders will actually practice on Friday. Here's what I'm visioning right now. The only press conferences a year the fans can actually attend, all of them, whoever wants to go, are the SMX playoff ones. Haiden Deegan, however it turns out, in Pro Motocross, JT, whether he wins this title or not, he's going to reset and think it'll be better my second season I'm starting on a 450, which will be the playoffs. I almost guarantee you he's going to come in with a look and some words to spice things up at this press conference on a Friday.
Is he, though? Because you can't be sure. Last year, he gave us absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that was playoff Deegs.
Well, that's going to be playoff Deegs this year.
Against Lawrence?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. That's the whole thing. You can't tell me that you know exactly what Haiden Deegan's going to do because there is no telling what Haiden Deegan's going to do. If you told me he was braggadocious, over the top, larger than life Haiden, trying to get in their face, I believe that. If you told me he was going to do what he did last year and not say a word to anybody about anything, I would believe that too. So maybe come here and learn with us all together.
Yes, he had basically 2 words, lock in. That was all he could say in the playoffs last year. That was 250s where he was taking care of business. I think it'll be different. Fans can actually watch that. Fans can watch the bikes on the track on Friday. 2-day format, and if you're going to make a weekend of it, we mentioned the AMA Hall of Fame induction for Damon Bradshaw and others on Thursday. You can camp here and at that finale in Branson at Thunder Ridge. So that's a different experience that you cannot get at a Supercross, even though this is stadium-like.
Yeah, I can't pretend to tell you what camping is going to be like in Columbus, Ohio. I think it's going to be great. It's September, fall in the air.
Yeah.
But I have been to Branson for a couple of days, and I can tell you that is going to be all time. Yeah. So it's not that far from here. Maybe go to both, but I'm telling you, get your motorhome. Maybe go buy an RV if you have to, because that Branson venue is all time, and camping there, I think, would just take it to a whole new level.
Yeah, and then there's plenty of room here, and this will be cool to be kind of hobnobbing with the teams and the athletes all weekend long. So enjoy the 2-day format when the SMX playoffs arrive here. Okay, now we're going to talk 450 SMX points, combining Supercross and Motocross together. It is obvious that Hunter Lawrence is at the top of the charts. And here's where it gets interesting. Hunter, we presume, is going to be good in both series. The guys behind him in rankings right now, Cooper Webb, Ken Roxon, probably not going to match Hunter's scores in motocross. And the guys who might do that are Jett Lawrence and Haiden Deegan, but they're way back right now because they didn't race and score points in 450 Supercross. So this could be a big leg up for Hunter, who's already as good as anyone on the track, and he might have number 1 seeding.
Yeah, barring injury, I mean, him going in as the number 1 seed is a lock, right? So my question then becomes, does this make the difference and finally get him over the hump in the Super Motocross World Championship playoffs? Now, he's going to have to perform in those 3 rounds. We know it's, single, double, triple point scoring, so you can't just go in with the lead and assume all is going to go well. Ask Justin Cooper how that goes.
Yes.
But if he mimics performances from prior years, that little extra, and I don't know that Jett's going to get higher than 3rd or 4th, right? Because he virtually had 0 points in Monster Energy Supercross. So it's going to be a tough ask for Deegs and Jett to get within, let's say, 5 or 7 on the front end. If Hunter can just hold serve through those 3 playoff rounds, this could be the year. And also, hey, I don't ever want to have to interview Hunter Lawrence getting second in a championship again. It's brutal for both of us, and I feel so bad for him on air. He's too tough to cry. I feel like I'm going to cry on air. But this might be finally the year where he gets that championship.
Yeah, someday it could be someone presenting him the trophy and not just you to talk about.
And I wouldn't get to do that. I wouldn't, like,
That's fine.
It's either going to be Katie or Will or someone. They're going to get to give him that first. I won't even get to present him in that moment. I'm going to be behind on the sideline over there crying, weeping like a child.
Finally, could be some good. The best news is that he doesn't see JT at the end of the playoffs. But he's going to have some competition. So, as I said at the top of the show, all anyone wanted to talk about going into 450 Pro Motocross was Jett v. Deegs. Hunter has proven he's just as good. But it's not just about the riding on the track with those two guys. It's about the stuff off the track. Haiden has done everything he could to engage with that. Jett has done everything he could to not engage. But he finally cracked a little bit. This isn't a huge thing, but it's something at High Point in qualifying.
It is something, and we won't know if it's huge until later. Because up until now, he has refused to acknowledge Haiden Deegan's existence. He won't even mention his name.
Yeah,
but then
what's his name is what he called him last week.
He did, and this was a huge change in that narrative. Not only did he acknowledge him, he actually made a lewd gesture, which he got fined $1,000 for. Rightfully so. You can't do that on television. But he's yapping at him after the practice. They're both making gestures to each other. So from going from I'm going to pretend this guy is not even on the planet to multiple kind of interactions, none of them good. Now, it didn't show up in the results yet. Jett was able to best Haiden, but it is a noticeable difference. And if you're Haiden, you're going to pour gas on the fire. This was the crack in the door you've been looking for. Now you're going to go try to kick the door down.
I like the controversy. I like gets me excited. I don't know. It gets me hyped to go race. Like, it's what I need. It's my energizer, so I love it.
One other rider we want to discuss here, who suddenly now isn't being talked about enough, is Ken Roczen. I believe it's the greatest story in the history of Monster Energy Supercross, him winning this title. He's been very good in the playoffs, gave Jett Lawrence all he could handle the first time in 2023. So he's not racing Pro Motocross. He kind of falls off the radar a little bit. But I heard he got back on a bike for fun, rode a two-stroke this week. That's a real wild card to deal with that we probably aren't going to be thinking about a lot off the back of Pro Motocross.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him somewhere down the line race a Pro Motocross race. He did that last year at Unadilla. He was coming off an injury, right? So I think he was working through some of the kinks before the playoffs, but the dynamic's the same, where you don't necessarily want to go from racing in May to then trying to be your best at a race in September.
Yeah.
So just getting one, forget about the results. You're going through the motions, you're working through the motorcycle, you're just getting a gate drop in there. And it's a huge bonus to Pro Motocross too, so it wouldn't shock me at all.
We're going to talk about the track here for Columbus. We'll give you the map in a moment, but I would just want you to look over our shoulders here. There's a concert stage at the end of this MLS soccer stadium, and that's actually where the start and part of the racetrack is going to run up high.
Yeah, and just thinking about the track here itself, we talked about how wide this field is because it's built for MLS, but that gives them options. Yeah. And when I looked at the track map, the first thing I thought of was like a really fast Supercross track. Now, there are some technical aspects to it, so if I had to kind of remember one track from the past and think of it, I'm going to go with LA, where dirt, like clay obstacles, some sand sections, but also a real Supercross feel to it. I didn't necessarily, you mentioned St. Louis off camera. I didn't necessarily see it the same as St. Louis. To me, it's just got more of an that LA Coliseum vibe to it, even though we're going to LA the weekend after this round.
That's right, and that'll be a soccer stadium similar to this. But that elevated start and riding up on top of where this concert stage is should be interesting here. One more thing we're going to get to is the Pro Motocross schedule. As mentioned, there's a weekend off, and then the incredible timing that July 4th happens to fall on a Saturday this year, so Redbud is going to have a race on the 250th birthday of America. That's going to be amazing. And then the next weekend we go to Southwick, and the Coonan twins should be back for that. And you know as well as anyone, they're bona fides on a sand track, maybe second to none.
They're going to be fantastic there. I'm actually going to Portugal, and we'll be filming from there. I'll do another scouting report on the Coonans that I'll have some information on. But yes, and I don't think it's necessarily the same for both. Lucas is one of the best sand riders, if not the best in the world, truly. Okay. And he's going to have to test that against Jett and Hunter and the rest.
Yep.
I don't really feel the same for Sasha. So can Sasha back up his moto win? I don't know. They are different in that aspect. Their skill sets are a little bit different. So time will tell what we get, but I'm telling you, if you liked what you saw from Lucas in Thunder Valley, you're going to get that and more some.
MXGP-TV.com if you want to watch this guy. I'm assuming you're on the broadcast there?
I am,
Portugal?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm not going there for vacation. I am going there as want to join the broadcast team and go watch some more dirt bike racing, because why would I not?
It's all JT does, everybody. Okay, so it's the schedule. You see it, Redbud, Southwick, and then all the faves to round out the season in August, and we come here in September.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you enjoyed what you just watched, well, you can get a whole lot more. Yes, it's time to bring the action and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel. You get all the news, highlights, reviews, the whole lot. So go for it.